Michael Jordan was denied entry to a country club in the 90s. He just bought the whole thing. The summer air in South Carolina was thick that evening in 1991. Michael Jordan had just come off his first NBA championship and was invited to a charity golf event hosted by an elite country club tucked away behind towering oaks and iron gates. It wasn't uncommon for high-profile athletes to be seen at such events. But the club, Wellington Hills, wasn't just exclusive. It was old money, quiet power, tradition over innovation. MJ rolled in wearing tailored slacks, a crisp button-down, and his signature Jordan SIXS. No tie. No blazer. At the gate, a man in a tan blazer flagged him down. "Mr. Jordan," the man said, eyes flicking to the shoes. "There's a dress code. Jacket and tie required inside the clubhouse." MJ raised an eyebrow. "I was invited." The man didn't move. "The rules apply to everyone, sir." There was a pause. Not long. Just enough. A silence that hinted this wasn't just about a jacket. MJ nodded once, calm. Then turned back to his car without a word. His friend, Charles, sat in the passenger seat, fuming. "You serious right now? They wouldn't pull that on Larry Bird." MJ didn't answer. He pulled the car door shut and drove off. Smooth. Quiet. Focused. Back at the hotel, Charles kept pacing. "We should blast this. Call the media." "Hell, I'll call him myself." "No," MJ finally said, lacing up his sneakers again. "Let him be. Some games you don't win tonight." He headed down to the hotel gym. Late night. Empty. He sank free throws alone for an hour. Rhythm. Silence. Precision. His face gave away nothing. What happened at Wellington Hills wasn't the first time. And it wouldn't be the last. But something about it stayed with him longer. Maybe it was the way the man didn't flinch. Maybe it was the eyes watching from inside, behind the clubhouse windows. MJ wasn't the kind to rage about being disrespected. He didn't write angry letters. He didn't hold press conferences. He remembered. The next morning, he played the charity tournament somewhere else. Shook hands. Signed autographs. Never brought up the club. But on the flight back to Chicago, he pulled out a notepad. He scribbled 3 words. Buy. Build. Belong. Charles looked over. "What's that?" MJ just shrugged. Long game. The years passed. Jordan became more than a player. 6 rings. Global brand. Billion-dollar empire. But behind the highlight reels and sneaker deals, MJ was collecting more than trophies. He was collecting opportunities. Real estate, private equity, golf courses. The world saw the airness. The logo. The swagger. But only a few saw the side that never forgot a locked gate. In 1999, MJ retired for the second time. He didn't disappear, he recalculated. With time away from the court, his focus turned sharper off it. Ownership. Equity. Control. Wellington Hills came up once in a while, usually in jokes. Friends would mention it over drinks. "You ever gonna buy that place just to fire the guy at the gate?" MJ would smile, shake his head. "I don't need to fire anyone. That's too small." He never explained what he meant. By 2006, MJ had become a part owner of the Charlotte Bobcats. He was playing golf more often, too, but never at Wellington Hills. He didn't need to be there. Not yet. Then came the phone call. It was a Tuesday afternoon when MJ's longtime advisor, George, stepped into his office. "You remember that club down in South Carolina?" MJ didn't even look up. "Wellington Hills?" "Yeah. They're bleeding money. Mismanaged. Half the members are gone. They're looking for a buyer, but trying to keep it quiet." There was a pause. "How quiet?" MJ asked. Closed door quiet. They don't want to admit they're sinking. They want someone with prestige, money, and, let's say, discretion. MJ leaned back in his chair. Set the meeting. Thought you'd say that. George headed out. MJ looked out the window. Same view. Different mindset. It had been over a decade since that evening. Most people would have let it go. But not him. That night, he pulled out the old notepad. He still had it, tucked inside a drawer, yellowing around the edges. He flipped through the pages until he found the words again. Buy. Build. Belong. He didn't smile. He just closed the book and went back to work. 2 weeks later, he flew down to Charleston. Discreet meeting. Private room. Just a few men in suits, trying to keep their pride intact. The offer MJ made wasn't just generous. It was clean. Full buyout. Immediate cash. The board hesitated. We'd prefer the identity of the buyer remain private for a while, one of them said. MJ simply nodded. That's fine. I'm not buying it for headlines. Documents were signed. A deal was made. And just like that, the gates that once stayed closed now belonged to the man they turned away. He didn't rush to announce it. No press releases. No camera crews. Just silence. He'd return. But not yet. Not until the timing was right. The club's new manager, a young, sharp guy named Trent, was handpicked by MJ. Trent didn't know the full backstory, but he knew one thing: MJ wasn't buying the place for prestige. He was buying it to change something. Whatever you do, MJ had told him, don't kick anyone out because of what they're wearing. Or where they're from. Not ever again. Trent nodded. Months passed. The club underwent quiet renovations. Subtle changes. Expanded youth access. New scholarships funded anonymously. Golf clinics for inner-city schools. The members didn't know who was behind it. But they liked the improvements. The whispers started slowly. Someone said Jordan bought the place. No way. He wouldn't bother. Why would he? That man's too busy. But the truth wasn't for them. Not yet. MJ waited. He was playing the long game. Always had been. And when he walked through those gates again, it wouldn't be to prove a point. It would be to make one. For good. The news didn't hit the papers. It didn't need to. Word had a way of slipping through quiet conversations and side glances. Members noticed changes at Wellington Hills, but no one confirmed the rumors. Then, one warm spring morning in 2023, the truth walked through the front doors. Michael Jordan, clean-cut in a navy suit, sunglasses tucked into his collar, stepped out of a black SUV and into the same country club that once turned him away. This time, no one stopped him. The new manager, Trent, met him at the door. All set, sir, Trent said. MJ nodded once. Let's do it. They walked past the golf shop, past the dining room, and into the main boardroom. Inside sat the remaining club directors, 4 men, all older now, all seated like it was still their place. One of them, Richard Alcott, had been on the board back in '91. He recognized MJ instantly. A twitch in his jaw. He stood up slowly, offering a hand. Mr. Jordan, he said, forcing a smile. MJ shook it. Firm, silent. Then he sat at the head of the table. I wanted to meet face to face, he began. Ownership transfer was finalized weeks ago. I've reviewed every part of this operation. Some things stay. Most won't. The men looked at each other. Trent stood off to the side, watching. Richard cleared his throat. We hope you'll honor the traditions of the club. We've worked hard to maintain a certain caliber. MJ leaned forward. Let me be clear. Tradition isn't the issue. The door being locked to the wrong people was. No one responded. I'm not here to fire people or embarrass anyone. I don't hold grudges. But I do remember. He looked around the table. This club is going to be open to people who were never invited before. Youth programs. Local tournaments. Schools with no budget, bring them here. Golf shouldn't be a gate. It should be a field. Trent handed out folders. Inside were blueprints, updated facilities, a youth academy wing, and a scholarship fund backed by MJ's foundation. One board member flipped through, confused. You are investing all this in kids? From where? Charleston. Columbia. Anywhere they're overlooked. Another asked, what about the current members? They're welcome to stay, MJ replied. But no one is above anyone else here anymore. The meeting ended quietly. No handshakes this time. Outside, MJ stood at the edge of the driving range, watching a few young golfers take practice swings. Most didn't recognize him. One kid glanced over and did a double take. Is that? He whispered to his coach. MJ just smiled. He wasn't there for applause. That afternoon, he walked through the clubhouse halls. Some old portraits still hung on the walls. Men in suits, sipping whiskey, all of them frozen in time. MJ paused at one particular frame, dated 1990. A photo from a formal dinner. He remembered the face of one of the men in it. Same guy who watched from the window the night they turned him away. MJ tapped the frame once, then walked on. In a small conference room near the back, Trent was meeting with a few applicants for the new youth program. MJ stepped in quietly. One of the teens caught his eye. A tall, wiry kid with an edge to him. Name? MJ asked. The teen looked up, surprised. Deshaun. From North Charleston. Play? Basketball. Bit of golf. Why here? Deshaun shrugged. Coach said this was a chance. Said some big name bought the club. Didn't know it was you. MJ nodded. You got game? Deshaun grinned. You want to find out? MJ smiled back. Maybe. That evening, MJ stayed late. He didn't usually talk much after hours, but with Trent, he opened up. You see that kid? He asked. Deshaun? Yeah. Rough around the edges, but something's there. MJ looked out the window. Reminds me of someone I used to know. Played angry. Didn't trust many people. Got shut out once and thought, they'll regret it. Trent asked, you think he's worth the time? Everyone is, if they want it bad enough. In the weeks that followed, Deshaun trained at the club daily. At first, he showed promise but little discipline. Missed early sessions. Argued with the coach. MJ didn't say much, just watched. Then one day, after showing up 2 hours late, Deshaun found MJ waiting. You think talent's enough? MJ asked. I didn't ask for a lecture. MJ stepped closer. I didn't either when they told me I didn't belong here. I didn't yell. I didn't post about it. I just got better. I outlasted them. That's how you win. Deshaun stayed quiet. You want this, or you just like the idea of it? Deshaun looked away. I want it. I just don't know how to keep from blowing it. MJ didn't blink. Then stop. Every kid who came from where you came from has an excuse. You don't get to use it forever. From that day, things changed. Deshaun showed up early. Stayed late. Fewer outbursts. More sweat. MJ didn't coddle him. He just gave him space to grow. And watched. One morning, Trent pulled MJ aside. There's a scout coming in 2 weeks. Wants to see local talent. Deshaun's name came up. MJ nodded. Let him play. The exhibition game was set. Held at the club's newly refurbished court, once a forgotten part of the facility, now spotlighted under fresh lights and open seats. Local media got wind of it. Michael Jordan hosts first youth showcase at Wellington Hills, one headline read. What they didn't know was this wasn't just a game. It was a statement. MJ arrived that night quietly, sat in the back corner of the bleachers. Deshaun spotted him, nodded once. The gym buzzed. Cameras flashed. But for MJ, none of it was about the noise. It was about one thing, proving that the doors that once closed in his face could now open for someone else. And Deshaun? He was about to step through them. The final game hadn't started yet. But the real battle, the one that began 30 years ago, was already being won. The gym was loud, packed with locals, media, and scouts from small colleges and big programs. It was the first time Wellington Hills had hosted anything like this, an open showcase for underprivileged youth. The court looked sharp under the new lights, polished floors reflecting the energy of something new. Something earned. Michael Jordan sat in the back, half in the shadows. No fanfare, no microphone, just watching. Deshaun jogged onto the court, locking in. He'd been waiting for this night. Coaches told him to stay calm. Scouts told him to play smart. But MJ? MJ had said one thing before the game started. Don't prove anything. Just be undeniable. The first quarter was rough. Deshaun forced shots. Missed 2 layups. Threw a pass into the stands. One of the scouts made a note. Another shook his head. On the sideline, MJ stayed quiet. By halftime, the other team had the lead, and Deshaun looked like a question mark, not a prospect. He sat on the bench, breathing hard, frustrated. Coach Thompson crouched beside him. You've got 10 minutes left to show them something real. Not fancy. Just real. Deshaun looked toward the bleachers. MJ didn't move. Didn't blink. Then something shifted. Third quarter. New pace. Deshaun stopped overthinking. He let the game come to him. Smart passes. Quick defense. A clean mid-range jumper. Crowd started to lean in. Momentum started to turn. Fourth quarter. Tie game. 2 minutes left. Ball in his hands. The same kid who almost got kicked out of the program now had a chance to seal it. He drove, drew a double team, kicked it out. Assist. Next play, steal, coast-to-coast layup. And then, with seconds left, he got the ball off a screen and sank a jumper just before the buzzer. Game. The gym exploded. His teammates tackled him. Cameras flashed. A scout stood up and walked over to the coach, already reaching for his phone. MJ stayed seated. No clapping. Just a quiet nod. After the crowd thinned, Deshaun walked up to him, still sweating, still catching his breath. You see that? He asked, grinning. MJ looked at him. I saw what you didn't do. You didn't fold. Deshaun chuckled. Thought I was gonna blow it in the first half. You almost did, MJ said. But you adjusted. That's the game. That's life. Deshaun looked around. Think I got a shot? You just had it, MJ replied. Now you build on it. Before leaving, MJ handed him a card. No speech. No promises. Call that number. It's not a free ride. But it's a door. You decide if you walk through it. Deshaun looked down at the card. Thanks. For all of this. MJ stood up. Don't thank me. Just don't waste it. He walked out of the gym, alone, just like the night he got turned away 3 decades ago, but this time, everything had changed. Weeks later, the news broke publicly. Michael Jordan confirmed as owner of Wellington Hills Country Club. Some were shocked. Others claimed they saw it coming. But the real story wasn't in the headline. It was in what followed. The scholarship program expanded. More kids from underfunded schools began training on those greens and courts. Members who didn't like it left. MJ didn't stop them. He didn't need them. At the grand reopening, MJ gave a short speech, his first and only public comment about the club. "I was once told I didn't belong here. They didn't say it with words, but it was loud. That night, I didn't argue. I left. And I waited. I waited until I could come back and make sure the next kid wasn't turned away for the same reason." He looked out at a sea of young athletes, local families, new faces. This place isn't about exclusion anymore. It's about access. It's about grit. It's about proving that patience isn't weakness. It's power. The crowd clapped. Some stood. MJ stepped down from the podium and walked over to a young girl practicing putts on the green. He knelt, gave her a quick tip, then walked off again. No lingering. Legacy didn't need applause. A year later, Deshaun committed to a mid-major Division I program. He earned a full scholarship, not a handout, but through work. During the press event, a reporter asked about the moment things changed. Deshaun didn't hesitate. "When I saw Michael Jordan sitting at my game, not talking, just watching, it hit me. He saw something in me before I even did. He didn't push. He just opened a door. I wasn't about to let it close again." He paused, then added, "He didn't buy a country club to prove a point. He did it to make sure the next kid had one." Wellington Hills kept growing. It wasn't the same place anymore. It was better. Kids who'd never swung a golf club before were now competing in regional tournaments. Basketball camps ran every summer. College recruiters visited every quarter. The portrait wall was taken down. In its place, photos of young athletes, each one with a quote under their name. One of them was Deshaun, now training to become a coach himself. His quote, "Respect isn't given at the door. It's earned on the court." MJ visited the club less often, but when he did, people noticed. Not because he made it about him, but because everyone remembered the story. He wasn't just the greatest to ever play. He was the man who waited decades to quietly rewrite the ending to a moment no one else even remembered. But he did. And when asked later, in an interview, why he bought the club, MJ smiled and answered simply, "Because I could." Then he added, "And because someone needed to." The story wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about ego. It was about patience, purpose, and the power of owning the very place that once said you didn't belong, and turning it into a home for the ones who do. That was the final shot. And it went in. Game.